Hello, my name is Russell Myers. Welcome to Issues Unite. So, Russia is retaliating for the attacks on their ships that happened this weekend. But let me start with the attacks themselves. So, on Saturday, I think, there were drone strikes, aerial and submarine drone strikes on different ships, military and civilian, that were involved in providing security to the grain ships going through the grain channel. Russian military and civilian ships, and the attacks were defeated. It was only one ship, actually, that got injured. I said two in the last one. It was actually one ship, and it was not major damage. So the alleged forensics from Russia have stated that the aerial drones were produced in Canada. Russia has stated that the UK was involved in this attack. This, from what I gather, this is a combination. At first, it was from intercepted radio and guidance information. The control center that launched these attacks has been destroyed. I don't know about any casualties. That has not been reported. Ukraine isn't going to report those casualties. So it was right there on the edge of the Black Sea. So there's no question where this attack came from. Ukraine is not stepping up and admitting that they launched this attack. But the New York Times is reporting that Ukraine launched this attack. There is no question. These drones do not have that much of a range. They could only come from Ukraine. There is only one place they could have come from. But true to form, Ukraine launches all these attacks, and then they don't admit that they actually, they never officially admit that they launched these attacks. And then Russia responds. So that is what has been happening yesterday and today. Yesterday there were, I think, 40 strikes on critical infrastructure. Today they are hitting critical infrastructure again. This is a set pattern. One day Ukraine attacks Russia, the bridge, etc., civilian population centers, and the following day, Russia responds. This is a pattern that you can absolutely count on happening. This is a pattern that the Ukrainians can absolutely count on happening. Now, this gives civilians a chance to prepare for any of these attacks. And I believe that that is a very big reason that they are using this pattern. They don't launch a response immediately. They wait until the following day. And a lot of these attacks happen before dawn to hit the civilian infrastructure so that there is a minimum of civilian traffic anywhere in the area. But unfortunately, civilian harm does sometimes happen. But let me go into this. All right, so as of today, you can see that there are a number of aerial warnings across Ukraine, and there talking about, their air defense and so forth. And it's funny how they talk about one missile being shot down when there's like, 40 missiles coming in. Here's one that's interesting. Debris of shot down missile. This is from Ukraine, remember. Debris of shot down missile hit civilian objects in Venetia region, no casualties. So they're admitting that this missile would have hit a specific target, but because it was intercepted, it wound up hitting a civilian target or object. I think it was an apartment building, but no casualties involved. As of right now, where are they? Never mind. I can't find it. So there are a whole bunch of things happening here. And let me get back to this. All right. Kiev is stating that 80% of the population has no water. In addition, some of the strikes hit the Kiev metro rail system. So there's, the civilians can't hop on a train and go anywhere. Now, I think that, excuse me, previously I said that this was mostly a psyop. But at this point, it's going beyond a psyop. There is a goal to all of this, to hitting the civilian infrastructure, which is to try and get the civilian population to evacuate Ukraine, leaving only military forces in Ukraine, at least in the major civilian population centers that are most affected here. If you get all of the civilians out, then if the Russian military comes in, they don't have to worry about protecting any civilian population. They don't have to only target critical infrastructure. They can just go. Some other forensics regarding this attack is that this attack was actually launched from inside the grain channel. So I'll say again, this is a sign that Ukraine doesn't have any more grain to export. This is why this attack was launched now. They don't have anything else to export. The West, especially the U.S., is claiming that Russia is weaponizing the food supply. Meanwhile, what you will not hear on Western media is that Russia is offering to give, not sell, give 500,000 tons, 500,000 tons of grain to poor nations that are in need. Meanwhile, over 90% of the grain that has been exported so far has gone to wealthy Western countries, Europe, the UK, etc. So, and meanwhile, the United States and NATO are trying to coerce countries like South Africa to sanction Russia, while, South Africa and East Africa actually want stronger ties with Russia and China. So this is unacceptable. The West is, and I've told you, one East African every 36 seconds, according to Oxfam, is dying of starvation, and these grain ships are not headed anywhere near there. So, at the very least, there should be a diplomatic effort being made to deliver this grain, to accept this offer from Russia. I have not heard of any stipulations or other requirements involved with this offer. So they are literally holding people hostage in poor countries for political expediency. That you cannot take it any other way. As far as Ukraine beating Russia, let's go back to this map. Now, if you zoom in on this gray area has gotten smaller. The gray area are regions that Russia held earlier in the year and retreated from, and which have been contested since then. But if you see this was a lot smaller last week. Now, if you keep on going up here, this area, the pink area that indicates Russian control, just keeps on growing. There are only one or two areas where Ukraine has made any advancements. This part right in here, that has been a contested area for a while. This right here is one area that has been the major area where Ukrainian forces have advanced. They're trying to block off this road, which is a supply road. It comes down from Russia into the Donbass region. So, they are trying to block this off. So there's a lot of heavy fighting going on in that area. But reportedly the Ukrainian troops that are in this area have been there since the beginning of the conflict. They don't have any reserves coming in to relieve them. Their supply routes are limited. You can see right here there aren't any roads going in here on the Ukrainian side. There's one road, and if Russia can just stop, use fire control against that one road, which they probably are, then the forces that are in this area really don't have any method of resupplying or sending in any reserves from there. So it's, and behind that is all mountain region. So any claims that you're hearing that Ukraine is pushing Russia back or winning or anything like that, that is all just garbage. There's no truth to it. Scott Ritter says that there are tens of thousands of Polish soldiers in Ukraine that have been sheep-dipped. In other words, they are Polish, but they have disguised themselves as Ukrainian troops. Well, this is a problem mostly because unofficially Poland has been talking about wanting to seize part of western Ukraine, which they have contested ever since the end of World War II. They said that that region should belong to them, and they still feel that way. So if you get all of these Ukrainian Polish soldiers in there that are embedded with the Ukrainian military, then once the Ukrainian military is defeated, which is going to happen, it is going to happen, then those people are going to turn around and just grab that region. So instead, it would be far better for Ukraine to hold peace talks right now and keep those areas. Instead, they're at risk of losing, what they've already lost, Crimea and the 4 eastern regions, but they could lose part of western Ukraine as well. And what is that really going to leave them with? There's not a whole lot that let me see if I can zoom in on this. All right, so if they lose these regions over here, Ukraine is going to be roughly half or less of the landmass that Ukraine used to occupy. And then they've sold off so much of their farmland, their industry, to Western business interests, and they are so far in debt that they are already never going to be able to pay off the debt. They need to keep what they can to be able to produce anything and have any kind of a future. They're giving up their future. They've given up. As far as Ukrainian sovereignty, they have given up their sovereignty. They've given up their sovereignty to the West. When your entire future is going to be nothing but debt, and your entire country is sold off to Western business interests that are going to export all of the profits generated from the land and from the industries, you don't have any sovereignty. And then you're going to have to follow whatever Western governments tell you to do because you owe them. So this is all just ridiculous. It is time for peace talks. It is way beyond time for peace talks. The peace talks should have happened before February. The peace talks should have happened for the last 8 years. At the very least, the peace talks that were showing promise in March should have been honored. But they haven't been. Instead, it just keeps on going and keeps on going. And now, the amount of aid that is coming from Western countries has slowed down to a trickle. There's a small amount. You talk about sending 36,000 shells to Ukraine. Well, if they're launching 6,000 shells a day, you've got less than a week of ammo. That's nothing. And if Russia is launching 20,000, 40,000 shells a day, then what good is this doing? Period. At all. You can send all the launch systems you want, but without ammo, they're no good. And it doesn't take much to target those launchers. Anyway, I'm still hoping that at some point peace talks are going to happen. I think that if all of the Ukrainian civilians evacuate, that's going to be the biggest hope right now. Tonight in Kiev, the weather forecast is to go down to freezing. For the rest of the week, the nighttime temperatures are in the upper 30s to around 40 degrees. But by January, the temperature at night goes down well below freezing. Can people survive in this? With no water, with no electricity, with no heat? It's time to talk. It's time for peace talks. Like it or not, it's time for peace talks. All right, share this video. Talk about these subjects. If you can afford it, please donate whatever you can to help expand this channel and my presidential campaign. and I will catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.